All right, we should be live now. Hey, what's going on, guys? Here to talk about the short five-game slate. Let me bring up these numbers really quick on Bovada. Okay, that's good. Okay. So yeah, hopefully you guys had a good night last night. I think it was a pretty solid night. A lot of those Boston guys, besides Kemba, were good. The Philly guys were really good. Brogdon was pretty solid. De'Aaron Fox was huge. So hopefully you guys had a good night. But yeah, let's see if we can keep going here for this five-game slate. So let's do it. We'll start with what we know so far. So we got Mikal Bridges starting for Kelly Oubre. I think he's a viable cheap option. Now, I'm going to prefer Cam Johnson to him because Cam Johnson is about $1,500 less, but I still don't hate Mikal Bridges. Looks like Brandon Ingram's going to be in. Jamal Murray ruled out. We kind of expected that. I think Monte Morris does stand out as a pretty solid value play. He's probably going to be the most chalky value play, right? But I will not be fading that chalk. Yeah, Monte Morris will start for Murray. That's a play where, it could, there's a chance it could go wrong, right? Like Monte Morris with those starters isn't a super high usage guy playing alongside Jokic and Barton. And, PJ Dozier has played well off the bench that last game. So you just never really know with Mike Malone, right? He's kind of like the David Fizdale now. So we also have Gary Harris ruled out. Let's see. Jason Tatum not on the injury report. Fournier listed as questionable. This is pretty significant. Fournier questionable. DJ Augustine out. And MCW out as well. If Fournier misses, I think Markelle Fultz would be pretty popular. I would have some interest there. Obviously, a boost to Aaron Gordon, a boost to Terrence Ross. So we're probably not going to get that news today. Is one of the late games here. Let's see. A lot of stuff is for Friday. Jaylen Brown ruled out. So those other Boston guys definitely get a boost, right? Kemba, Jason Tatum, Gordon Hayward, and Marcus Smart. Marcus Morris available to play as well as Frank Ntilikina. We have J.J. Redick ruled out. I think that makes some of those value guys viable for the Pelicans. Frank Jackson, even the NAW, right? I think Frank Jackson will probably be more popular now, and like this could be the game where NAW goes off. I don't know. Whoever is chalk of the value Pelicans, it always seems like the other guy goes off. We have Okafor ruled out. Brandon Ingram probable. Marcus Smart, again, starting for Jaylen Brown. Sun starters, Rubio, Booker, Bridges, Sarge, and Ayton starting. Now, that is good to see, DeAndre Ayton starting. I think that kind of solidifies his minutes at about 35 or so, with upside of a little bit more, and this is a great matchup here against the Knicks. So, yeah, now I think Ayton does stand out a little bit more there. But, all right, let's take a look at some numbers here. So we got Suns and Knicks sitting at 227. With the Suns here by 2.5. I think this game's probably my favorite game to game stack. This game and the Golden State-Denver game are the games I have the most interest in. We have Celtics-Bucks sitting at 227.5. The Bucks are favored by 11. So this game could turn into a shootout, but it also could turn into a blowout. So there's a little bit more risk there. We have the Jazz-Pelicans 226. The Jazz are favored by 6 points. Denver-Golden State sitting at 213. With Denver favored by 4, and we have the Magic Clippers late night hammer here sitting at 216 with the Clippers favored by 11. DK with that fresh cut. Hey, appreciate that, Matthew. All right, let's go team by team here, and then we can get to kind of my core cash game plays. I guess if you guys are playing cash games now on the smaller slate. On smaller slates, I usually don't even play cash games. This year I've been playing just a lot more GPPs. But it might be, I might start getting back into cash games more soon here. But yeah, let's go team by team here. We'll start with Phoenix. So Phoenix, no Kelly Oubre is the big news. He was playing 35, 40 minutes a night. So those minutes obviously have to go somewhere. I think Bridges and Cameron Johnson get the biggest minutes bump. I do like Cameron Johnson a good amount at 3.1K. I think he probably gets 25 to 30 minutes, and at min price, or basically min price, I think he does stand out as one of the better value plays, and playing him opens up a lot. So, yeah, if you're going to make me choose between Cam Johnson and Mikal Bridges, I'm definitely going to give the edge to Cam Johnson there with, about a $1,500 discount. Don't mind Mikal Bridges at 4.5, but again, he's not the cheap price that Cameron Johnson is. And then Saric is probably going to play. He might get a slight boost. He'll probably play 20 to 25 minutes. He's more just a dart throw for me. Baines coming out the bench. Can't go there, obviously. Then let's talk about the main guys here. So Rubio, I think probably gets mid-30s minutes like we have been seeing from him. He hasn't had an upside game in a while, but this is a spot where he could have one of those upside games. And he just had a kid, too, if you're into narratives. Kid narrative, I guess. I saw that on Twitter. But, yeah, I think Ricky Rubio's a perfectly fine option there at that price. Now the two guys at the top, I do have a lot of interest in. DeAndre Ayton, let's start with him at 7.7. He's going to be starting. So with him starting, I think that solidifies his minutes at about 35 or so with upwards of close to 40. And, he hasn't, he's been pretty consistent, right? 36, 31, 34, 37. But if we can project him for, 37 or so minutes, he does stand out as a pretty decent option. So I do think DeAndre Ayton does stand out as a pretty good option. Also like Booker as well at 9K. I think Booker is, I don't know, I think he goes a bit lower owned tonight, but I still like his upside a lot in this game. I just think a lot of people are going to go Jokic or try to get Giannis in there or Kawhi. I just don't think Booker's going to be that high owned. And with no Kelly Oubre, that's a lot of usage around. We've seen huge upside games from Devin Booker. So, there's a lot to like here for Phoenix. I think this is my favorite game 2 game stack if you're going to game stack one. I like Booker and Ayton at the top. Don't mind Rubio there in the mid-range. And then I like Cameron Johnson a good amount as value play. And don't mind Mikal Bridges there at 4.5. So that basically wraps up for Phoenix. Let's talk about the Knicks. Julius Randle, with Marcus Morris coming back, takes a slight hit with his usage, but he's still, he was still having big games with Marcus Morris in the lineup. So it doesn't really do a whole lot for me. I'm not all of a sudden off Julius Randle. I still like him a good amount at this price. In that game against Milwaukee, in 27 minutes, had 50 fantasy points. And that game blew out. He was on pace for 35 or so. So, yeah, I do like Julius Randle a decent amount there at that price. Don't mind Marcus Morris. I think he's more of a GPP option. But he is a guy that has had a lot of upside recently, right? And he can have big upside games. He can be a little bit up and down. But at this price point, I don't think it's outrageous to play him here. And again, it's very, very game stackable game. There's no one priced really high. You can play Booker, you can play Ayton, you can play Cam Johnson, and you can run it back with a couple of these Knicks. And I think that's a very viable build for GPP. So, yeah, I do have some interest there in Marcus Morris. Don't mind RJ Barrett, not as high on him. I think I prefer Alfred Payton at 5.5, who, again, don't be too concerned about the last game against the Bucks. It was a blowout, and he got ejected. In close games, we've been seeing him get about 30 or so minutes, maybe 30 to 32. Again, this game is going to be played at a much faster pace here with Phoenix, or against Phoenix. So I do kind of like Alfred Payton at that price of 5.5. Mitchell Robinson, not really for me. That's more just a dart throw for GPPs. He does have upside games in him every once in a while, but he's always in foul trouble. Bobby Portis, with Marcus Morris coming back, maybe takes a slight hit to his minutes. I don't think I want to go there. Don't really want to go Taj Gibson either. Ntilikina coming back, I don't really think that affects Alfred Payton's minutes too much. I still think, Ntilikina probably gets about 15 or so. So, yeah, all in all on the next side, I really like Randall. I like Alfred Payton a good amount, and I think Marcus Morris is viable as well at that price. Let's talk about Boston and Milwaukee here. So, we have Jaylen Brown ruled out, which is pretty significant. He was playing 35 minutes or so. Those minutes have to go somewhere. So, this is a game where I'm a little bit undecided. I think you want either a good amount of exposure to this game or you want to fade it all in all, because there's a chance that this game turns into a shootout, right? It's a 228 over under, and Jaylen Brown is out, so there's a lot of usage around on Boston's side. Or this game could blow out and you probably would want no exposure. So this is a trickier game for sure. I think it's risky, but if the Celtics keep it close, Tatum, Walker, Hayward, Smart, even Tice or Cantor, probably at least a couple of those guys are going to have big games. So, it's whether or not you think this game stays close. Now, on short slates like this, I usually take a stand, and I'm taking a stand here and hoping this game blows out. Now, it's a risky approach for sure, because if Boston keeps this game close, Tatum, Kemba, Hayward, again, those guys I talked about, I think at least a couple of those guys are going to have big games. So it's a risky approach for sure, but again, 11.5 point spread, Boston, back-to-back, they're playing without Jaylen Brown. I'm hoping the game blows out, but if it stays close, a couple of these guys will have a big game. Now, who's my favorite here in Boston? I think I would actually go with Kemba. I know he had a bad game. I know he let a lot of people down, but that's going to lower his ownership. I just think he has, a good amount of upside here at that price. So I think Kemba would be my favorite. If you're playing more of the safety role, like who's the safest here, I think it probably would be Gordon Hayward at 6.4. Not an outrageous price, right? He's going to get 32, 33 minutes if the game stays close. So I think Hayward's probably your safest option. I also don't mind Tice as a value play, who did get 28 minutes that last game. Don't think we can expect 28 again. He usually gets somewhere between 20 to 26, somewhere in that range. So I think he's a viable, cheap option. Cantor's always a guy you can look to for GPPs, but his minutes are so up and down. Can't recommend that with Cat for cash games. Marcus Smart is a guy that's going to start. I'm okay with him at 5.5. It's just, I like him more when he starts at the point guard for when Kemba's out. When he kind of starts at, the 2 or the 3, wherever they kind of play him, he doesn't have as much upside. I like him more when he plays for the point. So I'm okay with Marcus Smart, but you have guys priced similar to him, right? You have Alfred Payton in a good spot. You have a Markel Fultz, possibly if Evan Fournier is out, he would stand as a pretty good option. So you have guys priced around him that are pretty appealing. So I think Smart's okay, but I wouldn't go out of my way to play him. So yeah, all in all, this game is, you have to decide what you want to do. If you think this game stays close, I think you probably want to target one or two of these Boston guys and maybe right back with Giannis. If you think it blows out, like I'm kind of hoping it does, you probably fade it all in all. So it's a tough call here. Definitely this game could swing the slate, but that's kind of my breakdown there for Boston. On the Milwaukee side, there's a lot to like here too. There's Giannis at 11.7. It's just, what do you have to sacrifice to get him in? It's not really the best spot, but that doesn't really matter to me. Milwaukee playing at the fastest pace this year. So, the matchup is just, that doesn't affect me too much. I think he has obviously the most upside in the slate, but he's 11.7K. You're going to have to sacrifice a good amount to get him in. My other favorite play here in Milwaukee is Eric Bledsoe. 6.3 is just too cheap. He'll get about 30 minutes in a close game if you think this game stays close, which is, kind of up in the air, right? 11.5 point spread. There's definitely some blowout risk always with Milwaukee. Again, Boston a little bit shorthanded too without Jaylen Brown. So I think my two main targets here in Milwaukee would be Giannis and would be Eric Bledsoe. Don't really think I would consider anything else. Middleton, 7.3 is just, Bledsoe, or Lopez at 4.8, I'll pass. So yeah. I think it's Giannis and it's Bledsoe. I like both those guys. It's just, do you think this game stays close? So that kind of wraps it up for that game. Let's talk about Utah here. Utah, we got Gobert at 9.2. I think it's more of just a GPP option. He did have 56 fantasy points the last game. It is a good matchup, but I don't see myself prioritizing Rudy Gobert here at that price. I think Donovan Mitchell does stand out as a pretty good option here at 7.4. He's just a little bit too underpriced. I know he's had 4 kind of off games, but he has 40, 50 fantasy point upside on good nights. This is a really good spot. So, I think Donovan Mitchell does stand out as a pretty good play. Also, don't mind Joe Ingles at 6.1, who gets those peripheral stats, 33 and 30 minutes in back-to-back games. So I do like him. If you're going to make me choose always between him and Bojan, I'm always going to give the edge to Ingles, who just does more of the peripheral stats, whereas Bojan is just very scoring dependent. You got to hope he hits his shots. But, again, you can play him for GPPs. He can get hot. Clarkson at 5.2, probably not for me, and that's basically it for the Jazz. So, Jazz, my favorite plays would probably be either Donovan Mitchell or Joe Ingles. I think both stand out as pretty good options in a good matchup. We talked about the Pelicans here. I think Ingram really stands out as a good play here at 8.4. I know it's not really the best spot, but look what he did against the Jazz. About a week and a half ago, right? 39 minutes, 56 fantasy points. So Ingram without Drew Holiday just has huge upside. I think a lot of people will be scared away of the matchup, but I still have interest in him. Don't mind Lonzo. I think he's more of a contrarian option at 7.9. There's a lot of good guards priced around his range, right? You have D'Angelo Russell. We have Devin Booker, Rubio. So there's a lot of guys that are standing out as good options. Lonzo, I know he's had huge upside, but I think it's just more of a contrarian option at this price for GPPs. And then we have no JJ Redick, which is pretty significant. I think guys like Etuan Moore and Josh Hart are okay there in the mid-range. I think one of Frank Jackson or NAW have a good game. Your guess is as good as mine. Who's this going to be, right? It has been Frank Jackson the last couple games, but they kind of ride at the hot hand. If NAW is playing well, it could be NAW. So I think those guys are viable dart throws for GPPs. We have Derek Favors back as well. Don't really know how many minutes he's going to play. It's his first game in about, a week? About a week. I don't know. It's a revenge game too. I'm just worried. I think they might limit his minutes to about, low 20s. So don't really feel great about that unless we hear otherwise, but I don't think we're going to get that news. And then that's basically it. So, yeah, I do like Ingram a good amount of his price. Definitely my favorite player than the Pelicans. Don't mind Lonzo as a contrarian option at 7.9, whose upside is a lot higher without Drew. And then, guys like Moore and guys like Hart are okay. Don't really feel like amazing about them. And then I think guys like Frank Jackson and NRW are worth a dart throw for GPPs. I think one of those guys will have a good game, but again, they kind of flip-flop. It's hard to predict. So that basically wraps it up for that. Let's talk about Orlando here. 9:30 games, so we're not going to get this Evan Fournier news most likely until a lot later, but that is pretty significant. If Fournier can't go, I think Fultz is going to be pretty popular, who did have a triple-double. Would not expect that again, 55 fantasy points, but his usage is a lot higher without Fournier. So I think Fultz would stand out as a pretty good option. Wouldn't mind Terrence Ross, but I would definitely give the edge to Fultz, who's just playing more minutes, does more of the peripheral stats right, whereas Terrence Ross is more scoring dependent. Again, this is a bad spot here against the Clippers too. Don't mind Aaron Gordon either, right? He would get a boost if Fournier misses. Played 38 minutes that last game, so that is good to see. And then Vucevic at 8.5. Again, he would get a usage boost as well, but just a tougher spot and all. And there is definitely some blowout risk too, right? Like, this game has a decent chance it could blow out. It's a back-to-back there for Orlando. 11-point spread on the road. Clippers, obviously one of the best teams in the NBA. So there's definitely some risk here. It's whether or not you think this game stays close, right? If Fournier's out, I would have interest in, probably trying to get one of those Magic guys in my lineup. But that's really it. I don't think I would consider Nwundo, who did have a good game the last game, 32 minutes, 31 fantasy points. I will pass. I'll let others chase that. I prefer Cam Johnson. I prefer those Denver value guys. So not going to go there. And that's really it for Orlando. So let's talk about the Clippers here. Again, kind of the same situation with the Bucks. Do you think the Magic keep it close? If the answer is yes, you're going to want some interest in Kawhi, Lou Williams, and Montrez. If the answer is no, you probably fade the game all in all. So another tough one, right? There's two games here that could, like this Boston-Milwaukee game, could really be a gold mine if it stays close. I could see this game having some potential as well, but two pretty solid defensive teams. So I think that Boston-Milwaukee game does have more upside if it stays close. But yeah, Kawhi at 10.1 is obviously a good spend up, but the risk is, again, the potential for a blowout. If the game stays close, we know he's probably going to get 35 to 38 minutes, somewhere in that range. I think if you're going to make me choose who's my favorite star of the night, I got to give the edge to Jokic right now, who that game just has a lot better chance of staying close. I feel a lot more comfortable, right? A 4-point spread. Denver missing a lot of guys, so Jokic usage just goes way up. So I got to go with Jokic as my favorite star right now, just for that reason, right? Like Giannis, potential for blowout, and same thing with Kawhi. But again, if you think the game stays close, you can for sure target them. Lou Williams at 6.9 is going to be the first guy out if the game starts to be a blowout, right? We saw that against Cleveland, only played 20 minutes. But again, if Orlando keeps it close, we have seen Lou Williams have huge upside games. Montrez is 6.6, also don't mind him. But again, he only got 20 minutes at last game. The concern here is, I don't really know if Montrez matched up that well against Vucevic. So maybe they extend Zubac a little bit. Obviously, you can't go Zubac here at this price. That's just too expensive. But, that could be, maybe Montrez gets limited to below 30 minutes. Pat Bev at 5.6 is just an okay option for sure, but doesn't really stand out as a great play. And that's really it for the Clippers. So let's talk about Denver Golden State. So this is the Denver Golden State game and the Phoenix and the Knicks game are my two favorite games to target. Both games should stay close, right? There's not a whole lot of blowout risk in either. The Phoenix-New York game is going to be played at a really fast pace. Denver, Golden State, Denver, very, very thin. I like D'Angelo Russell on the other side. But let's talk about Denver. So one of my favorite teams to target tonight, I love Jokic at 9.6. I think he probably is my favorite spend-up. Just because no Paul Millsap, no Jamal Murray, no Gary Harris. That is a lot of usage to go around. So I think Jokic, I know he is kind of up and down, but this is probably going to be a game where he's going to have to take over. Great matchup against Golden State, so I do like Jokic a good amount there. I also really like Will Barton at 6.8, who is going to play some of the backup point guard duties. He's going to have to do a lot more offensively and a very, very fair price. So I like Jokic a lot. I like Will Barton a lot. And then as far as value plays go, Grant is okay at 4.8, but I think he's just priced right. I think the value guys I have the most interest in are Monte Morris at 4.4, who's going to start. And I think probably gets 25 to 30 minutes. And if that's the case, he stands out as one of the better value plays. Now, the concern is this is Mike Malone, right? He's one of the worst. He's probably the worst coach in the NBA right now. We've seen, we saw it last game. PJ Dozier was hot. He got a little bit of run there in the second half. You could always see Monte Morris get very limited. Like, I would not be super surprised about that. Again, Mike Malone is the woat. But, yeah, I think if Monte Morris in a normal scenario probably gets 25 to 30 minutes, and if that's the case, I think he does stand out as a pretty good option there at that price. I also like Michael Porter Jr. Again, the risk is just the minutes. He's been chalk a couple times this season, and Mike Malone has played him 15 minutes or so, right? So you just never know with Mike Malone. He could always run Hernan Gomez. He could run Beat. They have other guys they can use. They have Torrey Craig. So there is some risk that he could get limited. But I think if Michael Porter Jr. gets like 25 or so minutes, he does stand out as a really good value play. The downside with him is he's slightly scoring dependent, and again, those minutes are not really secure. Even with all these guys out, like I still think there's a chance Mike, if he's not playing well, he could play like 10 to 15 minutes. But most of the time, I think both Porter and Morris probably get above 25 minutes, and I think those guys do really stand out. So. Dozier, if you're going strictly, a risky play here for GPPs, he is the flat minimum. He did put up 21 in 13 minutes. He's worth a shot here, right? If Monte Morris is playing bad, he could get extended for sure. So I don't hate taking a shot there at the flat min. Beasley has kind of been phased out. Even with all those guys out, only got 7 minutes, so I don't think I could go there. Craig's too low usage. Plumlee at 4.2 probably gets close to 20 minutes. I'm okay with him as a value play, but really, my main priorities here are definitely Jokic and Barton at the top. I really like those guys as spend-ups. And then Monte Morris and Michael Porter Jr. Quickly, let's talk about Golden State. We got about 8 minutes to lock. So Golden State, clear cut, my favorite play here is D'Angelo Russell. And I like him a good amount at 7.5. 35, 34 minutes in back-to-back games. He had a bad shooting night against Dallas. Not worried about it. This game has a really good chance of staying close, right? Because a lot of guys in Denver are out. So I really like D'Angelo Russell at this price. I think his upside is enormous. So, yeah, he's one of my favorite plays for sure. And then everyone else is kind of a fade. We have Damian Lee back. We have Marquise Chris back. He's expected. I just don't really see a lot of guys playing huge minutes besides D'Angelo Russell. So it's really D'Angelo Russell, and that's it for me on the Golden State side. But, yeah, we got 7 minutes to lock. So let me check really quick if we got any more news, and then I can kind of give you guys my cash game plays, kind of my core plays. And then we can get to questions at the end. Let's see. Knicks, Peyton, Barrett, Morris, Randall, Gibson. Pelicans, Lonzo Ball, Hart, Ingram, Melly, and Favors. But okay. All right. So let's start with the. Let's see. What do I want to do here for this core? I think definitely a couple of these Denver guys, right? So. I think my favorite spend up right now is Jokic at 9.6. I really like Barton. I really like Morris. I really like Michael Porter Jr.'s value plays. I don't want to go crazy on the Denver guys, but I have a lot of interest in Denver. I will go Monte Morris for now, but again, I like Barton a good amount, and I like Michael Porter Jr. a good amount. Those four I have a lot of interest in on Denver, but I'll give you two there. I'll give you Morris and Jokic. And then let's see, what else do I want to do? I will go, let's see, I like I think Cameron Johnson stands out as a really solid value play, so I'll throw him in there at small forward. And then, who else do I want to give you guys? Again, the Phoenix-New York game and the Denver Golden State game are my favorite games to target. I'll throw D'Angelo Russell in there on the Golden State side. I think he probably gets close to 35 minutes in a close game, so we'll go with that. As more cash game plays. I think that's a solid way to start. Again, the Boston-Milwaukee game and the Orlando Clippers game, the reason I'm not including those guys in this cash core is just because the potential for a blowout. It's real in both games. Over 11 points in both games. So there's definitely some blowout risks there. But I think that would probably be a good way to go. Again, Phoenix, New York, and Denver, Golden State, my favorite games to target. Denver, definitely my favorite team overall to target. Jokic, Barton, Monte Morris, Michael Porter Jr. I like all four of those guys a lot. If you're talking about game stacks, I think the Phoenix-New York game would probably be my favorite. But, okay, let's get to questions here. Again, if you guys enjoy this content, would appreciate if you could hit that like button. All free content. So, yeah, let's do it. Let's see. Randall, Pell starting Melly. Yeah, but with Ingram back, I just don't think Melly's going to get a whole lot of minutes. He is, what's his price at? He's 4.4. That's just too much for me. Yeah, I just don't see myself going there with Ingram playing now. There's just I don't see him playing that many minutes. Randall, I do like Randall a good amount as well. Let's see. Monte Morris, D'Angelo Russell, Ingram, Chris, Harrell, Barton, Tatum, and Bridges. So Marquise Chris is definitely a risk, right? I don't really know how many minutes he's going to play. Montrezl Harrell, the concern is, maybe he gets limited minutes wise. But I'm okay with everything else. My cash lineup is D'Angelo Russell, Donovan Mitchell. Yeah, I think Donovan Mitchell is also a very a solid play there on the Pelican or on the Jazz. Ingram, I do like as well. Tatum, Tice, Morris, Porter, Lou Williams, perfectly fine. Should I fade Barrett with Morris and Frank playing? RJ Barrett's okay, but I don't know if I want to go out of my way to play him. What do you think about Tice? I think Tice is a pretty solid value play. He's priced at, where is he at? He's 4K, so I mean he probably gets 25 minutes. I think he's very much viable as a cheap option for sure. Marcus Smart, Cantor, or Hayward, Robin Lopez. Well, I wouldn't even consider Robin Lopez, so I gotta go Smart and Cantor there. Let's see, or Morris, Ross, Cam, Johnson, Favors, Jokic, Russell, Hayward, Ayton. I probably prefer that one, Walker. Let's see, Randall, Ingles, or Ayton and Hayward. Again, some of this stuff is dependent on if you think Boston keeps it close, right? If the answer is yes, if you think Boston keeps it close, then I probably give the edge to Ayton Hayward there. How much do you like Ayton with him starting now? I like him. I don't think he's the best play on the slate, but I think he probably gets about 35 or so minutes, maybe a little bit more. So he's priced about right, but there still is upside. The price is a good matchup. So I wouldn't say like he's my favorite play, but I do have a good amount of interest in DeAndre Ayton. Can you run Booker, Bridges, and Johnson together? I think I would only play two of those three. Unless you're going full game stack. If you're going full game stack, you're playing those three and running it back for a couple next, that's fine. But if it's like more of a cash game line, I think I only probably play two there. Randall or Ingram, really good question. That's such a close call. I really like both guys. I think I'll just give the edge to Randall because of the matchup. Booker, yeah, I like Booker. I think he's more contrarian. Let's see. Mitchell, Walker, or D'Angelo Russell for GPP. I think I gotta go D'Angelo Russell there. But again, if Boston keeps it close, Kemba probably has a big game too. All three of those guys I like a lot. With Donovan Mitchell, with Kemba, and D'Angelo Russell. Vucevic, Shamet, or Lou Williams, Terrence Ross. I'm not really big on Shamet, so I gotta go Lou Williams and Terrence Ross. Smart, Fultz, or Elf, all the same price. Yeah, that's a close one for me. Right now, with what we know, if I knew Fournier was going to be out, I think I would go Fultz. But with what we know right now, I guess I got to go Alfred Payton, right? Because if Fournier plays, Fultz doesn't have as much upside. Really bad spot, too, against the Clippers. So I'll go Alfred Payton for now with what we know. Is Booker, Tatum, Tice, and Giannis a good play? I'm assuming that game stays close. Yeah, that's a perfectly fine way to go. If you think game stays close, again, I think one or two of those Boston guys are going to have a big game. Morrison, Ayton, or Vucevic and Fultz. Again, that's kind of dependent on Fournier news, but right now I'll go Morrison, Ayton. Ingram, 56 fantasy points not long ago versus Utah. Yep. I know the matchup's tough, but Brandon Ingram, I think, is underpriced. I do like him a good amount. I think the matchup kind of scares some people off, but I think Ingram does stand out as one of the better plays for sure. Is this a good cash game lineup? Morris, D'Angelo Russell, Bridges, Hayward, Jokic, Barton, Cam Johnson, Rubio. Yep, I think that's a pretty solid one. Ball, Russell, Johnson, Ayton, Vucevic, Walker, Shamet, and Morris. Again, not super high on Shamet, but everyone else is solid. Answer Hayward or Morris. Again, that's kind of dependent on, do you think Boston keeps it close? If the answer is no, then Morris. If the answer is yes, then you probably go Gordon Hayward. It's really dependent on what you think happens with that game. Hayward, if salary isn't a problem, probably Hayward. He just bounced back with a season high points last. Yeah, I mean, I think Hayward is probably the safer option. Morris a little bit up and down, right? So I think Hayward is the safer option. Peyton or Fultz. Again, what we know right now, I got to go Alfred Payton. But if Fournier gets ruled out, I think I would prefer Fultz. Again, we're not going to get that news though before lock, which kind of sucks. So, good luck, DK. Let's eat. Yeah, let's hope to have a good night here. Hopefully we avoid any landmines. Let's see. Jamal Murray expected to miss multiple games. Kind of expected that. Let's see. Lonzo for all the money. I think Lonzo can train, but I still like his upside with no Drew. I'm rolling with Monte Morris, Donovan Mitchell, Bridges, MPJ, Jokic, Peyton, Hayward, Jokic. I like that a good amount. But let's go over some ownership here. So, I can look at, they didn't have the $40 single entry, or at least I didn't see it. Maybe I didn't get it in there in time, so I entered the $44 one. Okay, so I like some of this ownership here. Jake Anderson with a $5 super chat. You're the man, DK. Thanks, dude. Really appreciate that, man. Again, you don't have to, definitely don't have to super chat, but I really do appreciate that. So thank you, man. Hopefully win some good money tonight. Let's see, Matthew, big night tonight, hopefully. But yeah, thanks again, Jake. Let's see. So ownership in this $44. Alfred Payton at 14%, Cam Johnson at 15%, Randall at 18%, and I have DeAndre Ayton at 29%. So I like that ownership there. That leads me to believe that with a lot of those guys low owned, I'm thinking that people are thinking Boston keeps it close, which is definitely viable, and I think people are going to be probably playing a couple of Boston guys. Or Ingram, or Markelle Fultz. I'm just trying to think who else is going to be high owned on this slate. Again, I definitely think those Denver guys are going to be high owned. I like those guys a lot. Kemba or Barton. I'll go Barton right now. I really like the Golden State, or not the Golden State guys, the Denver guys. So I like Barton a lot. Thoughts on my line, DK? I'm wrong. Yeah, I think I like that a good amount. Morris, Mitchell, Bridges, MPJ, Jokic, Peyton, Hayward, and Jokic. Oh, we have Jokic in there twice. But yeah, that's a good lineup for sure. Barton might go off. I had him last night and he burned me, but this perfect bounce back spot. He's typically balled against Golden State. Yeah, and with all those guys out too for Denver, with no Jamal Murray, like Barton's upside is huge. So I really like Jokic. I really like Barton, and I like Morris and MPJ as value plays. I really think you can I think you realistically could play all four of those guys if you really want to. I think you could play all four of those Golden State or those Denver guys. I have a lot of interest in Denver for sure. I accidentally swapped to Morris and Randall, both LL. Morris 3%. Oh, Marcus Morris? Well, hey, a 3% on Marcus Morris is not bad, right? He has 40, 50 fantasy point upside in him. I got Booker at 17% and Randall at 19%. Yeah, so this game is a little bit lower owned than I thought. I thought more people would have guys in this game. We got I'm just looking at other people's lineups. We have Mikal Bridges at 27%. I think I would have preferred Cam, right? I think I just prefer Cam Johnson for about $1,500 less. But yeah, I think this probably means that I think some of those Boston guys are going to be pretty popular, and then maybe Ingram or Fultz or Giannis. I'm just trying to think who is a lot of people are going to be high on. Obviously the Denver guys, right? I know they're going to be popular, but I'm trying to think who else is going to be really popular. Let's see. Oh, Vucevic instead of Jokic. Oops. Okay. Well, Vucevic is a little bit more contrarian for sure. I got into the $40 thinking the 44, but I missed it. LOL. Yeah, I got in the 44. I didn't see the big $40 single entry, so I didn't get in that one. I bet NAW goes off tonight because he's not chalk. I mean, that's what I'm saying. That probably will happen. It's whenever NAW is chalk, Frank Jackson goes off. I think Frank Jackson might eat a little bit of ownership tonight, so probably NAW goes off. Hayward and Giannis or Jokic Ingram. I got to go Jokic Ingram there. Vucevic, okay, yeah. Why do you guys like Tatum? No Jaylen Brown, and Milwaukee plays at a fast pace. If Boston keeps it close, probably at least a couple of those big four, right? You're gonna have big games. So I want Morris, Russell, Porter, Ingram, Randall, Payton, Hayward, and Favors. Okay, I mean I'm okay with Favors. The risk, the risk is just don't really know how many minutes he's going to play, but it is a revenge game spot. How do you feel about Bridges tonight? I'm okay with Bridges, but I think I prefer Cam Johnson for $1,500 less. Now Bridges will probably get more minutes, but I would take the savings on Cam Johnson personally. I got Booker at 24% the $40. Yeah, so I mean I like Booker's upside a good amount, and I knew he'd be pretty low owned. Randall, Ayton, Fultz, Cam Johnson, Dozier, Russell, Ingram. I like that as well. Gonna head out, DK. Nice breakdown. Thanks, man. Elf 9% cash. So with Alfred that low in cash games, I really think Markelle Fultz is gonna be really popular tonight. That's just my best guess. I think a lot of people are banking on Fournier being out and just playing Fultz. And I like Fultz a good amount if Fournier gets ruled out, but we're probably not going to get that news until later. Great video tonight. Thanks for everything. Keep being awesome and being you. Let's win this money. Appreciate that, Cameron. Thanks, man. Randall, 21%. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I like the ownership in this game. I have the 4 guys I have in this game are Alfred Payton, Cam Johnson, Julius Randle, and DeAndre Ayton. All are pretty low owned. Appreciate the help. Mitchell or Russell. That's close. Those guys are both pretty appealing to me. I think I like the upside a little bit more on D'Angelo Russell, though. So no, Russell for me, but I'm playing both. Yeah, like I said, both those guys stand out as pretty good options for sure. You're going to break this stuff down. A big site will pick you up eventually. Hey, appreciate that, Mike. Thank you, man. Good luck tonight. Thank you. Good luck. Yep. Good luck to everyone. Let's see. How many games do we have tomorrow? I assume Friday's always a big slate. Oh, pretty decent size. 7-game slate. That's always pretty ideal to me. Like 6 to 8 games is usually a pretty ideal slate. So I'm going to have that video up tonight. So be on the lookout for that, guys. Jokic or Kawhi, I got to give the edge to Jokic. I think that game just has a better chance of staying close. Denver, very thin right now, so I got to go Jokic there. But yeah, if you guys don't follow me on Twitter, it is important to do so. That is in the description below. I will give my thoughts as we get this news throughout the rest of the night. Really, all we're waiting on now is Evan Fournier. Again, if Fournier gets ruled out, it's Fultz, it's Ross, it's Aaron Gordon that all get a boost and boost switch as well. But there is blowout risk for sure. 3,600 forward, that is not locked. I'll answer that and then get out of here. Let's see. 3,600 forward, and Cam Johnson's already locked. Let's see. Michael Porter Jr. Yep, that's easy. Is Nwundo good? Yeah, so I'm fading him. I know he had a good game the last time out, but I preferred Cameron Johnson. I preferred the Denver value. Pat Beverly's fine. Jokic or Kawhi again. Jokic there. Porter if you don't have him. Yep, thanks, man. All right, I'm going to hop out here, guys. Thanks again for everyone coming to check the live stream. I will see you guys all tomorrow. So good luck, everyone. And, yep, I will see you guys tomorrow.